So let's start. First, thank you for being here tonight to spend the 2 hours, next 2 hours together to meditate. So there's no fixed form to meditate. Whether you sit here, listen and reflect, that's also kind of meditation. Not listen to me, listen to your heart. That's very important. No matter what I say here, it's only my verse. If you don't listen to your heart, only listening to me doesn't help, right? Because I only speak languages, and you understand this stuff by the language. But no matter how you try to understand the language, if you don't listen to your heart, there's a high chance of misunderstanding, is it? Yeah. So the point is not my verse. My words are valueless, are meaningless. But what really matters and meaningful is you choose to look inward, to understand yourself, to understand how the mind works. Then you get everything. You get what's the mind like, how the mind works. You get clarity about your life. So meditation is a way to look inward. So we can have many different forms to meditate, right? Yoga, breath meditation. Anyway, a lot of things are the fun. You can call it Buddhism or Taoism, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's only a name, a label, right? The true thing is that we need to look inward, not outward. But sometimes we don't know what is inward, what is outward, right? we think that we are reading some books, some texts. It seems that we are looking inward, but it's not. Text, verse, anything read down, it's not yours. It's always outside, right? The law is written by text. All kinds of rules are written in text. So when we use languages, actually we are looking outward already. It sounds a little contradictory, right? But when I'm speaking now, actually I'm also using something outside, because I need to map what is on my mind to some words, to some labels. And I guess that I try to guess whether this label also means similar to you, but I don't know. That's why it's a lot of confusion. That means that when I speak a word, whether you understand differently, but I still assume that you understand the same as I do. But this kind of communication is full of guessing and assumption, right? So it's very risky. Think about all day life. We communicate with other people via languages. How finicky, how unstable, how dangerous to communicate with other people. There's only a small chance that you can communicate. Most time, it's just some kind of a superficial communication, covering the true miscommunication, right? That's a fact. Very, very cruel, very shocking, is it? Every day we communicate. We have a lot of interactions with all the people around us, but most of them are just miscommunication. Some can be very slight, some can be very severe, but they are all miscommunications. It's all because of language. Because we look out to something. We hope that stuff can connect people, but it only divide people eventually. Think about the argument we have made based on languages, all kinds of statements, all kinds of judgments. It's pure by languages. Look at the world politically. How divisive is it, right? Because the language. I believe this, you believe that. Okay, bye-bye, because we don't believe in the same thing. They're all in languages. But here, it's not a denial of language, because you guys are still listening to me. So the thing is that we need to be not attached to languages, right? We still use it. We can still communicate something, like a cup, like buy something in the supermarket. We can still rely on language for this kind of superficial, but also helpful communication. But for the deep level, right? Probably we need to find something else to supplement the language. And the way we're doing that is just look within, right? Just look at ourselves. When we listen to our own heart, we don't need a language, right? Do you speak to yourself in language? No, right? We don't speak to ourselves in languages at all. But sometimes we do because it's habit, because we speak a lot. But the only way, actually, so that the only moment that we don't use language is the moment we look at ourselves, because we can feel it. We don't need to verbalize it. Just feel it. Feel everything. Feel what's that mean to you. Feel when we in a calm state. So look within means that we need to feel something. But to get the proper feeling, we also need to calm down, right? If you will not calm down, the feeling can be very deceiving, is it? So here, it sounds, when we speak out, it's always confusing. We say we shouldn't be attached to languages. We need to focus on what we feel. But at the same time, if we are not calm down enough, our feeling also can be misleading. Yeah. Do you see the point here? When you speak language has a problem. When you try to feel, the feeling has some problems. What should we do? That's why we meditate. Means we need to calm down first. That's very important. To calm down means that make our mind quiet. Our mind is still very alert, but quiet. Not very dull. Dull also can be quiet. But we need to make sure our mind is always alert, but also very quiet. Our mind is still not disturbed. In that state, when we feel something, that's probably very right. But we need to know, examine ourselves. How many moments in our life are truly quiet and alert? How many moments are really free from all kinds of disturbance? So for the next 3 minutes, let's meditate to reflect in the past, maybe today, in the past 2 days or past week, how many moments are you truly quiet? And let's reflect on that about 3 minutes, and then we can come back to the talk again. Okay? So as the first step of meditating, we need to notice that how the mind can easily be disturbed. That's why most people could not really get a lot of moments of peace and true calm, because the mind is so sensitive. No matter how one person claims to be insensitive, because the sensitivity of the mind is beyond the people's consciousness. Is it? We have this neuron system from the brain to all the body. Our neurons is exchanging information with the environment all the time. You can feel the heat, the cold. You can feel anything, right? And all your thoughts, your awareness, your consciousness is built on the activities of the neurons. Because this property, this fact, our consciousness is not very stable, because it is always changing because the neurons. When neural activity changed, our consciousness also changed. And also because our neuron is always active, also will die, right? Because as long as you are alive, your neurons are always working. So in that situation, your mind, your brain is sensitive, but it's beyond the consciousness. But it works on the consciousness as well. But you might notice that if you kept a diary, or you can remember the things in the past, maybe a few years ago, the way of thinking at that time could be very different from the way of thinking now. Maybe you think, oh yeah, why I was so stupid at that time? You see, this kind of dynamic change of the brain is something we need to notice and observe. It deserves our attention. And probably the mind changes much faster than you think. Probably this morning, when you got up, you felt very bad, but now you feel very good. Probably the other way around. It changes really fast. If you didn't have good start in the morning, oh my God, I would have a bad day, but you couldn't predict, because there are so many things around you which is beyond your control, and the interaction between you, between your neurons and the environment is also beyond your control. Oh, by the way, who are you? Who are you? Beyond your control, but who are you? You see, it's very confusing. Is it? Yeah, everybody has a name. But who are you? Are you the name? Or are you just a concept? I want to control something. I want to control my mind. Who am I? Who is the mind? Aren't I the mind? Am I the mind? The mind? If yes, means I control the mind, means the mind controls the mind. You see, it's all the confusion from languages. Because we have language that define I, you, me, him, her, thee. And we use language all the time, for all of time, to make us believe that I really exist, you really exist. Physically, you are, yes, we have the body here, but psychologically, what are they? So all these questions is in the range of the examination, which we call meditation. How to examine it is your way, is your path. There's no path to the truth. Wherever you can reflect, but you need to understand how that part is related to your life. So you see, the language gives us a lot of expressions to understand the things we have. We can call it a hand, arm, head. But language also gives us confusion when we describe the mental activities. And unfortunately, most time, we talk about the mental activities a lot. So to meditate means to notice the dynamic change of the mind. That's the first step. That's the first step, at least. To notice that how you are unreliable, how everybody is unreliable. Because the mind is always changing. I promise you, I will be here tomorrow. Will you believe in me or not? Will you take it seriously or not?
You are here every moment.
Okay. I mean tomorrow. You see, every I promise that I will do that. And if you take seriously, it can be an issue. Why is that? It's never easy to commit to a promise, is it? Because you can't predict your mind state at that time. For now, why? I'm reliable to be here on Monday evening because it's part of my habit, right? Because this event has been running more than 1 year, more than 50, 60 sessions already, 60. So it's been a habit already. But for most time, we had a lot of promises. It's not a habit at all. We say, okay, let's meet maybe on Wednesday afternoon, maybe next month, whatever. But when in a state, it's not a habit. Our mind is always changing. If I promise and if I stay with that promise, because this attachment, I could feel miserable. And if you take it seriously and expect me to come to appear on that day, if I didn't, you begin to feel disappointed and feel bad. And I think a little more, yeah, if I didn't make it, I will make you disappointed and also feel bad and also very conflicted. So this kind of we call strictness gives people a lot of suffering.
Say the word again.
I mean, this kind of a strictness gives people a lot of suffering, is it? because we map everything to something outside, a shadow, whatever, but we every neglect the mental dynamics. So everybody suffers. Unless it becomes your habit, a strong habit, and then you feel you will get used to it. I mean, for a very specific thing. But here, the thing is that we need to notice this kind of dynamic change in the mind. Notice that how changeable we are. To understand this kind of a changeability is the meditation. To understand that nobody is really reliable is the meditation. Definitely, we still need to trust people, but to hold the expectation that everybody is reliable only backfire, right? So meditation, as we said a couple minutes ago, is just to calm down the mind and observe it. Calm down the mind means that to let your mind become still. Stop chattering. Our mind chatters a lot, right? Stop chattering, that's the first step. To let mind really calm down first. Then we notice, we try to be aware of the mental activities at each moment. To notice each mental action you take like an intention, so to speak. Intention matters, really. Definitely, from your outside behaviors, it's difficult to infer your intention, but you know that clearly yourself.
And why is it difficult to break a habit then? Because it's very difficult to change a habit after many times.
I think, to my limited knowledge about this habit, why sometimes it's difficult to get rid of habit? Because we are not aware enough. Not aware enough of the patterns we are stuck in. And habits can't be get rid of until we are deeply aware of the patterns that lead to the habit. This can be hard for many people. Like stop smoking. It's not only about stop smoking itself. It's also about a serious mental and psychological activities related to smoking. It's like how to stop eating sugar is similar to stop smoking. It's not about sugar itself. It's more about your response to sugar. All kinds of mental activities. For example, when you feel stressed, you sometimes eat sugar to feel calm down. It's become a very strong habit. Unless you realize it, it can't help you really stop sugar, right? So to get rid of the habit, you need to dig up, down into the root. If you can't really dig up the whole root, you can't get rid of it. Because most people in their life are so busy with all kinds of things. just purely ignoring the mental habits, the mental actions. And to be aware of the mental actions, we also need a lot of attention on that, which is not come easy for most people, because most people don't give attention on that. So for some very, very long-term habit, no matter some probably not very healthy, unhealthy habits, to get rid of it, you need to deeply aware of that and create new patterns to overwrite the old ones. But before that step, deeply aware of that. That's the first step. So you see, meditation is all about calming down and observing something. To be aware of your patterns when you are really calm. I mean, the calm is beyond our consciousness. When we say, I'm calm, probably I'm not calm. Because calming down also requires us some skills, like people doing yoga, to focus on the body sensations. And then you can slow it down to calm down. Slowly calm down, because when you move your mind out of the consciousness to focus on the body sensation, then you have the chance to calm down. If you keep thinking, oh yeah, how should I calm down? You won't calm down. Right? Any activities on your consciousness only burden your mind. Look at ourselves nowadays, the modern life. How we are so obsessed with thinking. We think that we could figure out a life. But any kind of thinking only burden ourselves. Finally, we just burn out and we stop thinking because we burn out. You see that? So to calm down means that we need to stop thinking immediately, to empty your consciousness. That's the way to calm down. Yoga can be a way, right? Breath meditation also can be a way. You can also find other ways, as long as you can empty the consciousness. Or, shockingly speaking, you need to die now. Die to this moment.
Sorry, I missed the last sentence.
So you need to die to this moment. Just die. When you empty your consciousness, you die. Right? When you really die, and at the end of your life, actually, it's also the stop of your consciousness. But if you can do now, you also die. But this die gives the chance to reborn. Right? If you're always holding onto your thought, you don't have the chance to reborn. You're only burdened with the old habits, the old thoughts, the past experience, the past resentment. And this part is always working in your consciousness. Now how can you calm down?
What about subconscious? What about subconscious? If we empty the consciousness, what happens to the subconscious?
So it's really difficult to define what is called subconscious. So I prefer call it beyond consciousness. It seems that if we call it consciousness, and then there's a subconsciousness, probably there's another something missing, right? To make the whole, the part whole. Maybe it's called unconscious. But we can only understand things in our consciousness. We don't know anything beyond our consciousness. So I would say that's only some kind of a concept. But if we discuss about that, that term is still in our consciousness. Do you see the contradiction? So my preference is just consciousness and beyond consciousness. Anyway, it doesn't matter which words we use. You just feel it. That's fair enough. Okay. So empty your consciousness immediately. You come down. But how difficult is it, right? Because we are holding on to some beliefs, ideas, some kind of experiences, even some identity. Oh, the identity is amazing stuff. We are holding on to that. Then it's become difficult to come down, truly. And when we are holding on to the self, the ego stuff, how can we come down? Right? So to calm down, it's very easy. I mean, so to speak, it's easy, but it's not, right, for most people, because we have a lot of challenges to let go of the thought, the ideas, the ideology, beliefs, whatever. That's why sometimes we need to use yoga, breath meditation to let us focus on sensation, the body or the breath. So in that moment, we can calm down immediately because we forget, we just not focus on the thoughts. And only in this moment, we are able to observe the mind. So, in a nutshell, what is meditation? Meditation is to observe the mind at present, non-judgmentally, without any past experience or knowledge about the mind. You see, if you have knowledge or experience, you don't empty your consciousness. If you judge, it's only burden your mind. You can't really observe the mind because you will resort to your knowledge, experience, try to interpret it. And then you distort it totally. And practically speaking, first, by doing all kinds of stuff you can find to empty your consciousness, to calm down first, then observe it. That's the meditation. No matter which book you are reading about meditation, or which kind of practice you are following, in essence, it's the same, this part. And that's why we say that there's no fixed form. Because most time, I think you also devote your time to look within, right? That also can be meditation.
It's very difficult in the sense that you need to let go at the right moment you are observing as well.
Mm-hmm.
That is the tricky part.
Yes. Practically, there can be a lot of challenges, mostly with the letting go of the thoughts, the things you are sticking to. That's part it's very, very difficult for many people to do that. Many people think, oh yeah, I still have, if I let go my ego, I will feel empty. Something like that. But he might don't know that it's a fact that we are empty. Is it? We are really empty. And we don't like being empty. Is it? We always want to keep busy. Always want to try to do something.
So you're saying that emptiness is our natural state. And somehow we forget about it by cluttering our minds with different life experiences.
Yeah, I mean here, for the emptiness is the mind. Our mind is always empty.
Why?
That's the nature. Because our thoughts, all the ideas, all the things that we are doing, is based on the neural activities. When the neuron stops, that stuff also is gone. It's like a digital, like a watch TV, digital TV. When you plug off, gone, everything's gone. But you still interpret it as something true in your consciousness. So that's the how to say, the neural reality. Everything we experience is based on the neurons. When the neuron changes, we feel differently. So how empty is it? Truly. Your life is changeable. Your mind is changeable. It's also the proof of this kind of emptiness. The way we try to be away from that, we try to occupy ourselves with all kinds of things. When we have nothing to do, we feel bored. You see our reaction to this kind of emptiness. And so to counteract this emptiness, we find, oh, this important, that important. We find the identity, we find the self, we find the ego. But simply, the fact is that we are just animals. We are just animals with a very complicated neuron systems. And because of the neuron system, we have such a very strong consciousness. And we begin to forget we are animals. We begin to forget that we are always subjected to the nature of law, the nature of neurons, the nature of the mind. So when you realize that, oh yeah, the mind is really empty, and you realize that with the tendency to stay away from that and try to be busy, what will be like for your life?
I'm a little bit confused because, as you said, it comes back to the point of language. And so I am wondering if you're supporting the idea that the mind and brain are different concepts, or there's just brain and no such a thing as mind.
So if we really go to the details about what is the difference between the brain and the mind. So from my understanding, so if I talk about brain, it's more about more about the physiological stuff, the neurons, the cells, the more. But when talk about mind, we're more about the projections from neurons. I mean, the activity, the consequence of activities of neurons lead to this kind of mind. It's combining of all kinds of sensations, thought, whatever. Definitely, when we talk about mind, it's a concept. It's a concept. And everybody can understand it differently, unless we feel our whole body, the whole mind, whole brain, by everyone. So here, the point is not about the concept of the mind, but about how can we feel everything totally. Because in all day life, because for the most society, we always focus on a small part, and dilate on it, and expand it. And so that's why we are always specialized in something. But about the mind, no matter what, how you understand the mind, let's just look at it by yourselves, totally, to understand the totality of it, not a single part of it. When we really feel the totality, and you will get a point what is mind like. Probably when we really communicate by languages to work together to define what's mind, probably it's still impossible for us to find a common ground because of the limitation of languages. But when you feel it, feel the totality of it, that's it. So you don't need to very concerned about the definition of the brain or the mind, because it's only a concept. And
so you think it is possible to be aware of the emptiness of the mind, but at the moment you think that you have another thought probably, and you will continue meditation, and maybe the moment comes back. But during your life, your mind will never be empty for.
That's a good point. Very, very good point, Bob. So let's also, your words point to the essence of the meditation. So to understand emptiness, it's not to feel the empty of your mind. It's to feel your chaos of the mind because you try to fill something in. Do you get what I mean? We always feel the mind in something, and our mind become chaotic. Feeling the chaos is a way to understand the emptiness. So we can see that meditation is an art. It's an art of what? It's an art of a negation. You can't really feel it directly, but you need to negate everything to understand it. To understand what is the order from your mind, you need to experience the disorder. Seriously.
Is it important to have a moment that you are completely empty? Or, I mean, if you understand that your mind is, the essence of your mind is emptiness, then you don't need to feel empty.
So now it's becoming confusing now to talk about to feel empty. But obviously, if you empty your consciousness, to let go of all the thoughts, to feel this movement, you feel free. When you are free, you have a lot of energy. Probably that's the way you mean the empty stuff.
I guess, like, for the reading, again, we're coming back to language, but this emptiness discovery, let's say, that you are totally empty, and if you can experience that during meditation, I guess you reach the enlightenment phase or something, no? This is the final aim of the meditation. But they talk about enlightenment and all of that.
I don't want to take that approach that it's the final moment of emptiness, but I mean that for your daily life, when you observe it, or your daily life, any details, notice any chaos. That kind of chaos leads to you that if you try to fill something into the mind will be disturbed. And this disturbance give you this chaos, give you this disorder. If you feel it, just observe it, non-judgmentally. This kind of observance will lead you to understand what is called emptiness. Things really exist, but our thoughts are purely illusioned. It's something illusionized. To understand that things exist, we as a human body exist, but our thoughts, our perceptions, is just the consequence of the neurons. That's the thing. If we are attached to that, to something which is always changing and changing, that attachment gives us what? Suffering, right? If you stick to some ideas, thoughts, but your mind is always changing. If your mind is like a very rapid river, but if you hold something in the river, you'll feel the stretch of your arm. That's the pain. Unless you flow with the river, and you will feel calm and ease. So that's the meditation. To understand, to feel the chaos. There's no real stage. Because in Buddhism, we can see that, well, you need to reach some stage to get some kind of enlightenment. Probably in that path, it can be true. But if you take a different approach, we don't know. You have your own path. So basically, to understand what is order, what is peace on your mind, we need to experience disorder and issues. Seriously, for people who have nothing wrong in life, who has a very easy life, it's difficult for them to meditate. I don't know whether it's good or not, but I would say your true experience, your suffering, your trouble, when you feel the pain, when you feel the disorder, you don't need any explanation. You will understand what is order. It's very different from this kind of discussion purely on consciousness, because it's always we are always toying with ideas and concepts. But for the mind, when it's beyond the consciousness, you can feel it. When you feel the trouble, you will get the thing. When you feel the force, you'll find the truth. So everything is negation, the ultimate negation. That's why many people find that the mind is very mysterious, because you can't directly experience it. You can only experience the opposite to understand what is a proper mind. So that's the first part of today's meditation session. So the first part is usually we just go through the basic concept, or the basic, what's the meditation like? So each week we have different angles, different perspectives to talk about that. And after the first part, let's come back to the second one to meditate. So even though I have said that meditation has no fixed form, we still need to meditate in this space. So, and also the general form is breath meditation. So have you ever done some breath meditation before? Perfect. So just observe the breath, right? To let breath as your main focus, the meditation object. And be aware of the full circle of your breath, in breath, out breath. When you breathe in, notice that you are breathing in. When you breathe out, notice that you are breathing out. And but your focus is always the sensation of breath. Can be the belly, chest, or the nostrils, or can be any part of the body that is relevant to the breath. And very importantly is that be aware of the thoughts. Don't identify with thoughts. Let thoughts come. Let thoughts be. Let thoughts go. What you need to do, just focus on the breath. If you get carried away by thoughts, don't criticize yourself. Be kind, okay? Don't say, oh yeah, I'm doing something wrong. No, you are perfect. Getting carried away by thoughts is very, very common for many people. If you realize that you have been being carried away by thoughts, just come back to breath. Don't criticize. Don't have any other intention about meditation. Just come back to breath, time and time again. So that's the whole part of the meditation process, right? So in the next 10 minutes, let's do meditation. And definitely the target is try your best to focus on the breath. Don't identify with thoughts. Okay? Should I turn off the lights? Yeah. Now, let's take a 10-minute meditation. Start by taking a moment to find a comfortable position to sit in a posture that you feel relaxed and get alert. Let the hands rest on your knees or laps. Let the eyes close gently. Soften your forehead. Act a soft smile in the corner of your lips. Breathe naturally. As you breathe in, be aware as you breathe in. Feel the sensation of breathe in. As you breathe out, be aware of breathing out. Feel the sensation of breathing out. Fix your attention on the breath. Let go of any thought. This moment, nothing is more important than breath. Every time you hear the bell, notice where your attention is. If it wasn't on the breath, gently invite your attention back to the breath and try your best to sustain your attention on the breath. Slowly bring your awareness back to the room. Feel into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. How does everybody feel now? A little calmer than before, right?
A little lighter.
Hmm?
A little lighter.
Lighter.
Trouble concentrating on my breath, and at the same time I was not aware of thoughts very much. So I clearly need to focus more on my breath, and then the thoughts will come up more fierce, I think. But that's better than being so you know what I mean.
I get the point. So now, so you find it's not easy today to concentrate on the breath, and observe.
My thoughts are not very defined.
So those thoughts are popping back to you. No,
Yeah,
really?
it's just some vague thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm not very active.
Yeah. So first, this common is especially when you're in a time when you have something to do and something to finish, and that can be, a contributor to this kind of situation, and you don't need to refuse it. Oh, I should focus on. No, you should just focus on what is now. Accept that, and probably just observe your mind in this environment, and try your best maybe next time to extend the meditation session maybe to 10 minutes to 20 minutes, a little longer. Observe the mind is the key to observe it. There's some all sort of things that is going on, and you have direction to it, and that's the things that cause you this kind of disturbance during meditation. But I think when you realize it, it's still a very good awareness, is it? Yeah, keep up. Don't worry about that. Yeah. Nothing matters. Nothing really matters. Yeah. Indeed, right? Nothing really matters.
For me, I always get like tense ideas, and I realize like even my face like muscles are like tense, and then I realize then I like relax them and then try to focus back on my breath. But it's towards the end, like the more I do it, the more it gets harder for me, because I start getting way too distracted with the ideas and thoughts that I have, and it's so addictive, it's so interesting.
So the thing for us is not to observe the thoughts popping up, but don't refuse it. So the aim is not to stop thoughts. You can't stop it. You can't control it. Who are you? Right? Who are you? So just observe the activity of thoughts. To let thoughts come, let thoughts be, let thoughts go, but you don't focus on it. You don't identify with thoughts. It means that let thoughts be, come, go. You don't care about that. Not care. That's the key state. If you refuse it, you still care about that too much. Is it? Don't care. Nothing matters. Don't care. That's the state of meditating. Oh, that's your lofty attitude, actually. You need to be in that way, to take it easy, to nothing really deserve your attention except your mind. Nothing really matters.
You mean that as far as we have the right intention when we meditate to focus on the breath, nothing can go wrong, basically. Whatever happens, happens. You should.
Happened when you die.
It's a bit radical.
Indeed.
And like be selfish, right? Why think about other things? You have to be selfish at that moment. You just have to care about yourself and your mind. That's right.
Accept yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
You see, languages are full of confusion. That moment, you only care about the mind. That's it.
Or you could say
Yeah.
there are many ways to
Yeah.
approach.
Approach it. Yeah. And the self you mean is different from what I mean. You see selfish in that way. I get point. But I interpret it differently because if I say selfish, it means to benefit of the ego, the self. We call it selfish. But in that way, it means that you focus on the self for the body. So it's different meanings. But for our daily communication, it's easy to misunderstand each other, and we can begin to fight. You see. But the general thing is that look within. Don't care about anything else. You still do it. It's no issue. You can do it, but you don't care about that. That's attitude. You do it because the society is running in this way. You pretty easily do it, but you don't take it seriously. You are not attached to it. Take it easy.
That is the most difficult part for me, like not being attached to anything at all, to your past, to your house, to your routine, to the people you love. So I think this is the most difficult part for me to understand. That is letting go of attachment.
So people may want to, I need to let go of that. I need to not attach to it. So don't forget, in meditation, we can only do it in an opposite way.
By experiencing the attachment.
When you experience attachment, you will find answer. When you aware of that deeply, you'll find answer. You don't need to, I need to focus on it. I need to be non-attached to it. You don't need to claim that. You just observe it deeply, and you will find, okay.
So, and if there is something you were attached to that you lost, the experience will be to acknowledge and to investigate the suffering that loss creates. Because this is very counterintuitive.
Very counterintuitive. Very counterintuitive. But the thing is that when you just experience it, observe it, non-judgmentally, and you'll find the answer. But the difficult part for us is non-judgmentally, actually. We always want to explain it, want to try to use language to verbalize the cause and effect. That part, the very part, distort the process of meditation. Can you observe your attachment without explaining it? Can you observe our greediness?
And even then, sometimes you react while you shouldn't react, maybe. But then it doesn't matter because it's a train of thoughts, and apparently it has to be there like it is, and it is too forceful to acknowledge.
So that's also the difficult part. The part we find is difficult because, just as Bob said, the reaction to it, we resist to that fact. Oh, I'm so greedy. How come? So that part, that moment, we also ruin the meditation process. So you see, virtually speaking, yeah.
For instance, this or that, and you have it in your mind, and you're looking forward to it. Sometimes it's impossible to look at it and let it subside. I mean, then because it is a train of thought.
A good point. So that's why that's also the target of meditation, is to have the deep awareness, to notice that desire when your desire just arises. If you notice too late, it's very difficult to stop. You see. So to meditate, to develop or deepen our meditation skill, is to have this kind of awareness, to notice your issue at the very moment the issue appears.
For example, I sometimes like to do, if I'm super lost in the thoughts and ideas and like desires or self-criticism and all those things, I like to imagine myself as if like I am, like, you know, those like cartoon effects where like the body goes up and like gets in front of me. It's still me, but then I see myself from outside with all the thought bubbles and like desires, and then I just watch it, you know, like I just see it, and I try not to feel anything about it. I just want to see it, and maybe the person like that I'm watching, which is me still, but maybe she's smiling, maybe she's upset, but I'm still trying to like imagine myself as objective as possible and just watch, you know, observe. Sometimes visualizing like helps for me.
So what happens when there is a strong emotional attachment? For example, let's imagine somebody you love dies. He died, for example, and then you are sad. How this will be approached via meditation, for example.
So you mentioned love, so which is today's topic. Thank you for letting me start the topic. So the third part session is about love, and love is a very big topic, but it's also a topic we need to examine carefully, because now there are so many different types of love, too many types, right? But now, if we can let go all the concepts and look within, and what is love, I think this answer will be answered during the discussion. Okay. Let's look at the very essence of love. What is love? And everybody is craving for love, right? In a way or another. But the love you are craving for is love we mean here? I don't know. Let's examine it. So, in your perception, what is love? I want to give some comments.
It's kind of selfishness, affection
For
for someone.
someone.
Yeah, or someone.
Oh, including me or not?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
So I had someone in mind, so I was like, but yeah.
Okay, me included. Thank you for saying that.
I actually used to not believe in love because I used to think that the definition or like the concept of love is something very, very old, and it cannot be implemented in our new, modern, super busy and fast world.
So that means the definition of love has been polluted too much.
Exactly. I don't believe that love is the love that we have known. I don't think anybody can find it in this world anymore.
Okay, point. Yeah.
Well, there are many types of love, I guess. But it's to me, it's the desire to belong.
Belonged. Okay.
This belonging feeling to somebody, to a community, to something, to your country, to your home, to your family. And then there is romantic love, that is something.
I see love as one of the positive emotions. Like we have joy, we have positive emotion like love, we have positive emotion like a meaning, and I see love as one of the positive emotions that we experience. For example, when we love someone, when there is some person and we have like a close relationship with that person, and that leads to positive emotion called love.
So you want to try to get some pleasure from love.
Sorry.
You mean you want to get some pleasure from being in love because the emotion you can get is very positive, and that can be a pleasure. Right.
Yeah.
I see.
Actually, it's quite ironical what you're saying, because you're saying that being with someone, all the affection that you have with someone will create this love, but you're the one creating this emotion actually with the interaction that you have with that person.
I'm not sure if I get what I said. What I mentioned is that love is one of the positive emotions, and it's actually not my idea. It's from the psychologist from University in South Carolina, that love is one of the positive emotions that we experience. Let's say when there is someone that we like, or that we there is some emotion called love when we love someone. Does it make sense?
Bob?
First I thought I don't know, like attraction. You have between people, between animals, things, whatever. Then if there, the emotion, I think is called is what I call love.
I see. Joyce?
It's kind of preliminary emotion.
Preliminary emotion.
Before anything develops.
For me, I have to say, true love is to respect the law of nature, the physical nature, or the inner world, the nature of our inner world. Just to respect this nature law, or to follow this nature law. And that is love. And I think this understanding already contains to give freedom to everything, to everyone, and in an orderly way.
You see, we have different definitions for that, certainly. Probably very differently, I don't know, because it's very difficult to judge in this situation. But that's the chaos of love, right? Because the world...
I think what Joyce says is that love is paramount, is above everything. And I think it could be, I try to believe that it is the right way. But in a book that I read, it was like you have attraction and if you have an aversion against someone. But still, I agree with Joyce that you, for even in that situation, you can have love towards the person facing the situation. But, approach it with love.
So, you see, if we go around the word of love, we can discuss it endlessly all the time. No matter in which books you are reading, or we can always want to define love. But love is only a word. but it's such a confusing word, is it? And because the past generations also define the word this love in different ways, and we can't believe in this word anymore because it probably can't really express what we want to feel in this situation. But no, if we just mean the love generally, I mean, for most people are thinking in that way, is love selfish or not? Can be. Mm-hmm.
My utopic definition says that it has to be altruistic. If it's not altruistic, then it's not love for me. So that's why I say like it cannot be implemented anymore in our current world.
But what if it's love for yourself?
Love for yourself?
Yeah. I mean, you're supposed to respect yourself, right? To love yourself first, then you can love someone else. But then what is yourself?
It also should be altruistic. It shouldn't come from like a place where you do it because you gain something. It shouldn't be something beneficial in any case for you. It should just come from the point of love.
But then isn't it a little bit ironical? Because if you love yourself, you will anyway gain something out of it.
Really?
Yes, of course.
I don't know. In my opinion, love gives you acceptance and understanding.
So you gain something.
Yeah. But those are more like, in my head at least, those are more like the things that you are already supposed to have. They aren't like gold, they aren't like money, they aren't a feeling. They are like the things that makes you, the things that doesn't corrupt you, more like that shapes you. But as I said, like it's a very utopic definition of mine, and also you're right, like anything, there's no good deed, or there's no like altruistic thing in this world anymore. And it's hard to sort of understand it because like humans are so used to always gaining or like benefiting from something that they forget to have just that feeling, and that feeling doesn't have to be like a profit for you, it's what makes you you. It's what makes you an animal or like a human. I don't know.
I think that whatever happens, you will gain something. Because, for instance, you mentioned the fact that this is something that you're supposed to have in the first place, but it means that you don't have it in the first place. So whatever happens, you will gain it anyway by law, right?
But that's the problem. The reason why I don't have it anymore is the definitions that we put, such as gain, such as benefit. So it's like they're already taken away from me, but I'm not like I was born with not having them and I need them. It was more like I was born with them, but because of the language, because of the definitions and all of these like learned things, they were taken from me. And yeah, that is, yeah.
So just back to this small discussion here is that when we say we're gaining something or we are losing something, it's always a perspective. You notice that you can't get rid of this perspective. But if you are holding to that perspective, will create conflicts. Because losing and getting is a dynamic all the time. They go together all the time. But the thing is, your attention matters. Do you have the intention to benefiting or not? That matters. Our life is a life with all kinds of perspectives, but your intention determines which perspective you will go with. If you have the intention to benefit, that's kind of one intention. But if I have the intention to give, just give, without any expectation of benefiting, definitely you probably still benefit eventually because the benefit is unavoidable in that situation. That matters. So when we discuss, when we communicate, why it's so difficult? Because it's difficult for us to guess the other people's intention. We can always hold on to one perspective to try to force other people's intention, which can create the conflicts. And that's also the challenge for everyone, including me, to communicate. That's why it's up to everybody themselves to look within, because you only know your attention, inner attention. I only know mine, right? So I only know my intention. You know your intention, and we don't know each other. But every time we communicate, we always have to guess other people's intention a little bit. That's why I would say communication is very risky, because if we guess wrongly the intention, people can feel wronged, right? So what is love? So another question for everybody: is there an opposite of love or not? Hate. Also thinks in this way. You?
No, I would say if you ignore someone, then you will be opposite of love. Hate is kind of close, it's still an emotion for me. So the opposite of love would be to ignore someone.
How about you think?
I think it's not caring.
No.
Not caring.
No caring.
The opposite of love.
It's okay. You?
I don't think there's an opposite of love, because I think hate's opposite is like it's not love exactly.
No, hatred is more stronger.
Yeah, but
Like it's like I like something, but hatred is stronger.
I think you can also hate small things though. Like I don't know, I hate this class.
You don't like something, but
I
hate is like more stronger. Like you hate it. You can't withstand someone. That means you hate it.
And I think it's right when love and hatred goes hand in hand. To me, sometimes, especially in romantic love, two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Like I hate that I love you, for example, right? That's like something.
So that is, but then we are talking only about romantic love. I don't know.
So you see, all the love is in our consciousness. But now let's just reflect. If we empty our consciousness, we don't care about anything actually. With any thoughts, let's go with it. And we understand that everybody's suffering is the consequence of all the thoughts and stuff. In that moment, how do you feel for everybody else?
I think this raw status of awareness is not possible without compassion. That somehow is linked to love as well. So not caring about anything and just be wholly aware of everything is something very difficult for me to have. So awareness and compassion.
You see, we are so attached to the verse here, compassion. Because it's also relevant to the next question. Is there any difference between compassion and love?
Yeah.
No or yes?
There is no wrong answer.
No wrong answer. Just think about that. Is there any difference between love and compassion?
I think in Joyce's definition, it is the same.
Yeah, it's true.
I think they are all labels.
All
It
labels.
should be the same thing.
Let's just look within a little bit. Look at our mind. When you're really free from your mental structure, when you're really quiet enough on your mind, when you understand how the thoughts are generated and how the thoughts lead to all kinds of sufferings from people, to people, in that moment, what's your feeling for others? Because for you, you have nothing to lose because you don't care about anything in the thoughts, in the consciousness. Isn't kind of strong feeling of compassion.
is fully empty.
Empty.
And you're just like fulfilling for another human being. I don't think I would feel compassion. I would feel more like likelihood. Familiarity, because we're the same species. And it's the same body, same flesh, you know?
Probably also, yeah, the compassion you mean is different from what I mean, but I get the point. I think it's, yeah, similar meanings here. Yeah.
This is a problem.
Language is a real problem here.
Yeah.
It's really a big problem. But can we feel it? This kind of love stuff. Love is really selfish or not? Just come back to the previous question. When we really working in this kind of a mental structure, when we love somebody, do we have end or not? I love you. Do I expect something from the people I love or not?
I think more or less you have expectancies.
So you have some expectations.
Yeah, attachment.
But in a later stage, it also can become after conflicts or that you have more like unattached, feeling of likeliness to someone else, and appreciation.
When you love somebody, what do you love? What do you love? Is you love the image of that person or something else? Who can tell me?
Your experiences with that person. So when you love your mom, I guess you love the experience of her rising you up, for example.
But that experience, in your definition, isn't the kind of image.
I would say I agree with the idea that you tend to actually live through perception of things. Like, for instance, if we go on a date together and you tell me I love you, you're just basically saying words, and words, as we saw, have different meanings depending on who is hearing them. So actually, I'll just hear words. That's the fact, the scene. We are talking, we are eating, and I hear words. But then maybe in my mind, I will say like, oh, he loves me, that's so beautiful. And then I will imagine things like what you mean behind it. And actually, I'm the one creating this love atmosphere. Well, the fact is, you just said, I love you. You just said words. You could have said like, I just eaten this salad. That's the same, right? And I could still perceive like, oh my gosh, he ate the salad and I'm the one who cooked it. Oh, he loves me so much. It's just a matter of, yeah, all you met things, I would say, in your mind.
Think about when two persons are in a relationship. One person, I love you. The person, I love you too. But how can we define this relationship? It's defined by the love. Because one person loves the other person, or one person loves the image of the other person, and they are very wrong. So what's the called relationship? It's the two between two people or two images.
I think when you say image, it can be everything. You're right. I was just like in my mind thinking if the feeling that person gives to me is also an image or not. But if we consider it as not an image, for example, because I love my dad, I love my mom, I love my boyfriend, and I love my dog. But from every single one of them, I have a different feeling, a different warmth. They are not the same. And that's why each love is specific to that person that I feel it for, you know. It's so, in this case, would it be an image? Because image in my head is always like materialistic and not very spiritual or like emotional. It's more something that I can see.
Okay, so before I answer your question, so I'll ask you another question. Do you think thought is materialistic or not? Thought.
Definitely materialistic.
Yeah, thought is also materialistic.
But imaginations are
Also, is it?
no. But imaginations come from image, you know? It's like language.
So it's also materialistic, right?
Aren't they? I don't know, like imagining something, like closing your eyes and just like picturing something. I think those are such like things that we can't explain with materials, with neurons, with anything. They're still very like unknown concepts, unknown.
There are still thoughts. There are still thoughts to me. I mean, you close your eyes, you dream about something, you imagine something. There's still a thought, I think.
Look within. Is there any difference between thoughts and images? Yes or not?
Yes, because like I don't know.
That's the format.
For me, like in my head at least, thoughts are always with words, but I can also imagine without using any words. You know, I can imagine what I see, what I hear. Yeah, like I can. Yeah, I don't know. Like that's different from me.
But some of your emotions are created by your thoughts, right? So your thoughts can actually create things without the words, or just sensations.
Yeah, that's good.
So you see, difference can be very, very trivial. Can be very trivial. The things we notice that back to the relationship, we think that there's a relationship between two persons. But when you look within, probably that's the relationship between two images. Because we always use our thoughts or mental images to block us from seeing the person at this moment. Block ourselves to see that person at this moment. When I see somebody, first see my love, I always associate that person with some mental images or thoughts or some kind of expectations.
But that is true for everything we see. That is true for every element of reality.
So that's the issue we need to realize, right? Like, for example, when I was walking in the park to see a very beautiful tree, when I stand on the tree to look at it, to feel the color, the breeze, everything around the tree. But if I say, oh, what a beautiful tree, when I speak it out, that moment, do you think I'm still seeing the tree? Oh, a tree. I'm already into the thought about that tree. So when I look at a tree, I say, oh, what a beautiful tree. At that moment, what I am doing? Labeling because of thoughts. You see, how thoughts can intrude our life so easily. When we verbalize, we immediately get into thoughts. It's also similar to our the life situation about love and the relationship. When I say I love you, when I speak out, when I try to, no matter what you want to love, it's so easy to draw into the thoughts, the images about that person. We always think, oh yeah, she's beautiful, she's nice. Oh, I want to be engaged with him or her. You see, in our relationship, how many paths are driven by the images? Can you see the person directly without any thoughts or experience? Can you see that person with fresh? No? Or yes?
If you're in love with him, I don't think you can see that person without any sort of feeling or emotion attached or assumption or image. You are building up, of course, an image of the loved one.
So that's why we are attached to the image. But when the person is changing, you say changing very differently, we found that it's difficult for us to swallow because because we are holding to the image. When people are going through the domestic violence, they still don't want to divorce because the attachment to the image. See? And we complicate the romantic love because there's a sexual activities inside, which is we try to make it special, to make it very different from the normal compassion or normal love. We begin to say, oh, that's selfish because the sex activities is not open to everyone. So just look at it. Just look at it. Don't attach to words. Don't argue with me. You don't have to disagree or agree with me. To reflect on it. So we have attached a lot of forms to love, which makes love a very different definition. Because when we tell love, it's not about the relationship. It's about any other activities. We take pleasure from each other. We exploit each other, so to speak. Do we? It's just kind of mutual exploitation. But it's true, is it? I exploit you, you exploit me. So this is the law we mean, usually. So it's always conditioned in one way or another. That's what I mean love. So we can only love my wife, and I can't love anybody else.
Your friends.
I have friends, families. But what if you love everybody? Can you love everybody?
That's difficult.
When you let go of the thoughts, let go all kinds of pettiness, resentment,
The compassion.
then the compassion takes over. So we have burdened love with too many forms because the history, generation to generations. But what is the relationship? The true relationship? Why we still want to have a boyfriend or girlfriend? Or you want to be alone? It doesn't matter. Because if you decide to go for a relationship, what does it mean to you? Isn't it the company? It is it. You want to find a person that you can have a very good mental communication, mental interaction. And that person become part of your life because your life is conditioned on that. Observe it. You won't have a person who you can communicate every day, regularly, mentally, happily, no conflicts, no like talk to your colleagues. You have a lot of conflicts in the day, right?
I think it's also most of the time, at least, people tend to fall in love with the image of themselves in the other person. You know, like let's say we are friends or we are like lovers, and I know that you love me because you find me pretty and you find me smart and all those things. So I kind of fall in love with the image that you have of me instead of your image and who you are.
So actually, you know yourself.
Yeah, because I think this comes to the point of loving yourself first, you know? Because if you don't love yourself first, if you don't know who you are, then you can't actually love the other person because of they are, but because of what they think of you or what they Like,
If they were the case, they will be always like a correspondent love. Sometimes you love someone and the other person doesn't love you back.
Yeah, but is it love then?
You feel in love, let's say.
So it's easy for us to really draw into this discussion purely on consciousness. But I just here give you an argument. It's said by Krishnamurti. When there's a ego, when there's a self, there's no love. Is it? When there's an ego, when there's a self, there's no love.
It's a matter of definition.
We're coming back to Joyce's definition of love more and more, I think.
Law of nature.
The way you describe love, I think we are approaching that.
It's not the denial of love, but it's really need to examine it non-judgmentally. When we have the self, when you have the ego there running, what's love like? When we have self, when we have ego, we always goes around the gaining something, benefiting something, at least mutual benefiting, mutual gaining. And also another argument, but we need to also reflect on later, is that self is the only source of all mental activities. That's also said by Krishnamurti. Yeah. Self is the only source of all mental activities. It seems to apply to love, right?
But isn't it tricky, like, because love is somehow a human definition if you look at animals, and because we're referring to love of nature, if you look at animals, they are together, they are mating because of out of convenience, let's say, so they can reproduce and then have kids and blah blah. But we don't necessarily observe the same kind of relationship with animals, right?
You see, from history, what we do, we regulate their sexual activities and make it into what we call love now. So everything goes around that definition all the time. No matter in which religion, the sex is always a taboo all along. We regulate it. In ancient China, the emperor can have multiple wives. I don't expose that, but I mean, no, that's our conception that one man, one woman, and now one man, one man, one woman, one woman. We create this chaos. We create the problems of being straight and being gay. But who is really gay? Who is really straight? Only a very tiny portion, is it? Most people in the middle. Because your sexual activities is nothing to do with your love. You feel very shocked? If we want to define something called being straight, means you have to love a woman or love a man. The opposite sex. And if you're gay, means that you must love the same sex. But they are only the outliers of this society anymore. Most people are in the middle.
It's a spectrum. It's not like a set thing. You can change the spectrum, you can always be the same, but it's a spectrum.
People are confused about that because we use the word straight gay and we define activity in that way. If you're gay, you must have sex with the same person. And if you have same person with same sex, you are gay. So it's confusion, a lot of chaos here.
But love and sex are two different things.
Different things. And everybody can satisfy this kind of what we call sexual activities in different ways. And we can't really define it by a few words, like being gay, being straight, or whatever.
I just think that I feel like we can't really take it as the same sex we have as humans with animals' sex, because theirs come from a very instinctual genetic basis, but we have changed the meaning of sex like a lot. It's not just reproduction anymore. We put pleasure in it, we put satisfaction in it, we sometimes put pain in it, and many more things. So I think it's in some points also related to love, because I don't know, like, for example, in animal world, most of the females doesn't enjoy sex because of biological structure of the genital organs. But in humans, that is also sometimes the case, but just because the person loves the other person, they can still bear that feeling or that pain or whatever.
So sexual pleasure is also part of the image about that person, is it? You see, you can still use the part as part of the image to think about that person. Oh yeah, she gave me a perfect sex experience.
But this is your experience, your own image, the image you are building.
So this makes the relationship very, 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 very strange and chaotic. But before we dive into it, let's look at the modern ways of having sex. We have different ways of doing sex. Actually, we want to to have this kind of pleasure from the sexual activities, because sexual activities, sexual desire, sexual sensation is a very strong sensation from the body, is it? And look at ourselves in this society. Isn't it a good way, a good moment that you can forget yourself? To forget that ego, because that when you really in that experience, we forget ourselves. Do we?
Or you just do it for your ego.
So probably you have a very different definition with it. So
No, I'm just adding something else
because
it changes, right?
in consciousness, we can discuss this verse all the time. When we have ego, because we want to benefit something around this psychological concept. But in that moment, when you're really in sex, are you thinking about something? If you think about something, you won't have the sex. So in that very activity, it sounds a little embarrassing to speak, but in that activity, you don't think at all, because you just experience that sensation. How can you think, oh yeah, maybe tomorrow I have an email to send? Come on.
Then it's not good.
And that's not good sex activities anyway, right? So at the moment, you don't have any concept, no ego at all, right? Ego is only concept running in your consciousness. When you really go through the sexual activities, it's beyond your consciousness, because it's the sensation from your body.
There's resemblance to meditation.
You can see that. You can see that, because in some tradition in the Buddhism, they also have this kind of part, sex in the meditation.
But then if you have such experience,
It's called Tantra or something like that, right?
Kama Sutra?
Yeah, something like that. I'm not very into it, so but that's our human part and the human mind. And we make our relationship really complicated because this part, that part. It's not denied, but we need to examine it to see why we have such very complicated relationships. Because we have burdened it with too much terms to maintain such a mental image. So in that situation, when people in love, in that situation, are people still free? Marriage is a tomb or something like that. Right? Why? Probably there's some reason to say that. We are confined to that structure to maintain the mental image, in order to maintain the relationship. Are you still free? Think about people's life when they get married. Why they get so different? Aren't we confined to that kind of form of love? To make sure we maintain the mental image, so we can stay together. To save face.
But don't we actually need all those images? Because, for instance, I mean, for some people, I'm assuming that weddings is kind of a proof saying that, okay, I love you so much that I'm ready to commit for my entire life until I die. And this is a little bit what we are doing, right? Because love, if you have to express like how you're showing love or how you're feeling love, it's not something like one day you do something and then like the love is more something constant, and you tend to prove it through actions. Like for instance, every day my boyfriend will come and I don't know, buy me flowers, for instance, and then I also like, oh, okay, this is his way to express love. So somehow those images that you're referring to, I think it's something kind of necessary in the sense that at one point you're living with someone, but nothing happened, like you don't have any kind of interaction, and the person is not buying you anything, or is not even talking to you whatsoever. He may still be in love with you, actually, but he's not expressing anything, so then you're not perceiving anything. But at the end of the day, you feel like, okay, there is something wrong. We're not in love anymore with one another. And I don't know, the way I see things, I think that those images, I mean, the way I see, I understand what you're saying, is that it's something kind of necessary in the sense that, yeah, I guess that some days you love someone less than another day, which is normal, but you tend to do things in a consistent way, and this is why we eventually define as love.
So thank you for talking about that, because notice that we are so attached to that mental image. So we try our best to maintain an image, but to maintain an image, we are away from the present. Because if he or she didn't buy some flower for me, I would feel disappointed. I begin to doubt about love, because expectations, because that mental image. You see how we are trapped in that mental structures. But what if two persons, if they choose to stay together, but they are fully present, enjoy each moment by the interaction, or not just stay together, don't talk to each other, but still enjoy this peace and calm? Isn't it also beautiful? People feel free, but they still together.
I think it's not the definition that society has of love, in the sense that we can all be happy and loving one another and not living together and just do stuff for one another. But the idea of love that at least I have nowadays, that you have to be with someone, you have to build a family, you have to build something together and to go in the same direction together, which is a little bit like you have something empty in you and you need someone to fill you a little bit in the same direction together when you matching. So the way I see things, and this is not necessarily my definition of love, but the way I see the love nowadays is more like you need this person because you feel like there is something missing with you, and then you can go together. Otherwise, you will always feel like there is something wrong with me because everyone is with someone except me. And I cannot live my life like this. Like,
so why can't you be yourself? Why always to follow other people's? Oh yeah, people all in a family. I also need to find a family. That's most people do, actually. That's why we have this kind of quote of one leader. Most people follow it.
They are not everybody that is in marriage is in love.
Yeah.
But it's even worse though.
Yeah, I mean, we're social animals. We don't want to be ostracized, so we generally follow what society tells us.
Oh, actually, because today we had doing enough time to continue the session, but we should be questioning the social animals. it's a kind of habit. It's consequently of all kinds of reactions, or it's just over true nature. I don't know. We need to examine it, probably next time or whenever. But it is important for us to examine all kinds of biases and preconceptions we are holding all the time. And this kind of a deep digging is a way to meditate, to regain the deeper level of awareness. So I don't say we are not social animals, but we need to question it first. Right? So I think today's time is up, almost. So let's have a 5 minutes break. And if you still want to stay here with me for another 10 minutes to meditate, you're welcome. We can live here.
What is the summary of this talk? So what is the main summary? The conclusion from today?
Take part whatever you feel relevant to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's an easy conclusion.
Yeah, because we don't want to conclude anything. Here, we don't judge anything as right or wrong. We just examine it. We just stick it up. Oh, it's right. Just put it back. If it's not right, throw away. That's it.
We just observe it.
Observe it.
Non-judgmentally.
Yes.
You don't need to judge necessarily to come to a conclusion. It's more like if you have to do something, and then at the end you don't wrap it up somehow. It's like it's like balloon, they will just go away, and then you're living.
If I plan the talk beforehand, like most people do, to do the things, we definitely can have a conclusion. But the talk is not never planned. Everything is coming naturally. It's purely improvised. I have no any paper here, so just quickly follow everyone's reactions and ideas. We can just look at it. So life probably is also in this way. Flow with it.
Just a summary. So
Yeah.
Just a summary.
Flow with it.
So for me, it comes to a conclusion for me.
Okay, what's that?
So when we stop thinking, we will know how to love naturally.
Good point.
That's my summary, based on your sharing.
Okay, so I'll just repeat Joyce's verse. True love is beyond consciousness.
Okay. But are we more than after all?
There is another session.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's another session. Yeah. Don't ask me questions. Reflect on it. Okay, because we use verse, the verse always confusing and leads to all kinds of misunderstanding stuff. So to make sure we can have the best communication, let's communicate by verse, but everyone need to look within, to look at their own mind. Then we come back to make sure we can on the same page. So today I think, no conclusion, and you can define or just make your own conclusion on this. Life is a journey. Everybody on different tracks, and I really appreciate that everybody can come here today to think together, to reflect together. So let's have 2 minutes break, and then we come back to meditate again for another 10 minutes, and we can call it a day today. Shall we? Perfect. Thank you very much. Yeah. Oh. It's very easy for people to draw into the thoughts to discuss about things. It's always a habit for most people. So every time we have discussion, I'm always nervous about people's this kind of interactions. Yeah. Thoughts has become such a strong habit for us all the time.
I've been taught that from when we were a child. It's the way you interact. You always. It's the way they teach us. I think. Somehow we are kind of going backwards again. No.
So for my own I plan in the future, I really want to introduce this kind of a 10 inward in education to the young kids, because if they can have these habits from youth, they will save a lot of time in adult time for the misery. Yeah. Because now the education system has broken in a way that they don't teach people, and there's no teachers who are able to teach people how to look within. They only teach books read books. Yeah, that's your authority, and then they ruin people. It's only make people mechanic.
In UK, are introducing mindfulness in the schools. There are many programs where they have, like any other subject, they have mindfulness as well. That could be an introduction to. No, even though the system is book and then feeding thoughts all the time, at least 1 hour a week or so they're doing meditations and mindfulness. The way to start.
But it's a good start. I think young kids really, because now we just need to do that to resolve our own chaos. But if young kids can learn it from the youth, they can avoid making a lot of chaos by themselves.
Also in Holland are initiatives like that. My sister works for an organization called the gelukskoffer, the happiness suitcase or trunk, to help children at primary school to get the tools to be happy in their life and to enforce their own well-being.
I think one of the two difficult stuff to impart. One part is to tell people the self is an illusion, and ending self. The second part is tell people the whole language is misleading. These two parts are very difficult to impart. I don't think a lot of the teachers at the primary school can understand this at all, let alone teach it.
That is too advanced.
Because the
teachers will not.
Too advanced. But if people can understand it from the very youth, it will be a deep new revolution to the society. Everybody learn language, but everybody knows that language is not perfect. It will reduce, probably solve many issues.
You need to
experience it. So
there is nothing that can be understood like that.
No.
You need to see it and glimpse it.
Yeah.
Because you only glimpse it sometimes. At least I only able to glimpse it sometimes. I don't fully understand myself. Yeah. But they need to walk the path with them.
So that's a very challenging part to teach meditation or mindfulness, because as long as we begin to use language, as long as we begin to learn something from school, from our books, from all kinds of readings, we begin to distort the mind already.
Yeah.
And to get rid of that is really a long-term task.
If you do that with children, you kind of explain a certain thought, and the children can oppose that later when they are 5-10 years older, and at least they have some knowledge of it, and they will react to it, and they will not agree with it, but at least there is some.
I think the children, when they're really, really small, they know. So if you look to very small children, they are super mindful for me. They are in fully awareness all the time. They go from drama to joy, and they're fully in the moment.
Yes. So probably the question is how can we
go back to that?
To revolutionize the education, to make sure the education won't pollute the children's minds so deeply.
But I think it's also the society. I think we have a very toxic society. Like, education is of course a part of the society as well, and one of maybe the most important one. But I feel like, we have to stop being social animals. We're 7 billion people now. It's enough. We don't need a society.
Because many people are also asking the same question. Now we have this society. How can we change the society? People are still waiting for somebody to change it. You see, someone is still waiting for somebody else to change it. We're still waiting for a superhero to change it. Yeah. But actually, the only change can happen when everybody goes through the deep psychological revolution. If it does not happen, then there's no chance for society to change.
Yeah, well, it's actually like a psychological fact. It's called like groupthink, and yeah, people generally tend to either they don't want to be ostracized again, so they don't speak up, and this is seen in every organization, and it's just so sickening. And I think one of the things that like maybe we can change the whole society, but we can make it more individualistic. Because this toxicity of society, I think it is seen more in collectivist cultures than individualistic cultures.
Exists in both. Because if you go to the individual ones, it also creates new issues. The fun is that because our mind is always in between. Some points you can be a little collective, but if you go individual, it will create another extremity, which is these issues. So the thing is that we need to let go of this kind of individualism or collectivism.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they are all toxic.
Yeah. Teaching mindfulness is the way.
Being mindful, yeah. Everybody need to recreate the order from within. And sometimes it seems like collective, because if everybody is mindful, it's like collective. But it's also because everybody is different, because the order. So everybody also individual. So having in that situation is that the society should be, it both seems collective, also individual. That's the maximum of the freedom of everybody can have, and also the harmony we can have. But it's beyond the definition of the individualism or collectivism at the moment, which is just kind of ideology, some kind of games. So you see, for these topics, we have a lot of different topics to discuss: politically, socially, psychologically, or mental cognitively. Also, the neuron science or neuron or philosophically.
Social change might be another topic.
Social change, yeah.
How we change things.
But what is the kind of end goal statement of meditation? What is the end goal of a meditation? What is the point at the end? What are you looking for eventually?
So
Shift in the perspective.
If you have a lot of different languages to describe it, we can use Mindiverse to describe it. But I'll just give you a very concise one. Is that the meditation is to end the self, and then all this is solved.
This is very obvious.
To end the self, because the self, the ego stuff. When we stop running, it's different stuff.
It's like, have you ever watched Avatar, like cartoon? No?
No, not yet.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think I'm the youngest.
You are.
It's like there's this. So Avatar is like the airbender.
Oh yes,
You know?
of course, yes, yeah.
They're like he meditates because in their temples meditation is very important. Also, like it's also connected to their bending. And Avatar is the person who can bend all 4 elements. And like when he's talking to his like past, like reincarnated selves in the past, they say to him that you have to let go of any like materialistic world earth things, and then you're going to reach that like sort of nirvana, you know. But it's like a state of where you actually like have the power and the self awareness, and like he can't because he loves this one girl, but whatever. Like, it's like
but just before we start meditation today, we just noticed one thing, is that we can let go all the things like material stuff, but means mentally let go of it, because you can still do it, use it. It doesn't matter. But it means mentally not attached to it. But sometimes people may think, oh yeah, if I let go of it, I need to avoid it physically. No, it's not that stuff. It means you mentally not attached to it.
So you can go to work not mentally attached to it, you will never get upset anymore.
Yeah.
Just floating around.
But that's very true. Why do you get upset in the first place? Because you have too much time to actually focus on the fact that you're upset about the thing.
Yeah.
Because there are many things that will upset you, but you will not necessarily think about it.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you put a lot of effort and then the outcome is
That's
not
the
the one you
thing.
want.
Is that
That's the, yeah.
it's like it's the time that you dedicated
dedicate
into
to it
actually
to the-
focus on this specific feeling. Because, like, for instance, yesterday I was feeling super sad about something, but I was doing a lot of stuff and I was kind of happy. I was able to feel the sadness in me and the fact that normally I would be like a drama queen and crying all the day long, but I was just like, that's life and I can't do anything about it. And I'm not saying that I managed to do that every time, but I was super sad that I was still able to just live my life, just feel good about it. So it's just, I think it's also a matter of the effort and the time you put on this specific feeling.
But the attachment you are
Yeah.
creating again.
Yeah.
So let's meditate. Today is too long for us. Now, let's take a 10-minute meditation. Start by taking a moment to find a comfortable position to sit in a posture that you feel relaxed and get alert. Let the hands rest on your knees or laps. Let the eyes close gently. Soften your forehead. Act a soft smile in the corner of your lips. Breathe naturally. As you breathe in, be aware as you breathe in. Feel the sensation of breathe in. As you breathe out, be aware of breathing out. Feel the sensation of breathing out. Fix your attention on the breath. Let go of any thought. This moment, nothing is more important than breath. Every time you hear the bell, notice where your attention is. If it wasn't on the breath, gently invite your attention back to the breath and try your best to sustain your attention on the breath. Slowly bring your awareness back to the room. Feel into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. So, thank you for being here tonight, and I hope everybody have a good week to stay peace and calm. If possible, try to meditate every day, to give yourself some time, moment to empty the consciousness, to observe our mind non-judgmentally. You don't have to say, yeah, it's good or it's no good. No matter what you do, it's only a matter of choice. But we need to be aware of the options, right? So, great. Let's finish it today, and hopefully see you in the future. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Good.
We're so glad.
Okay, thank you, and see you next time.
See you next time.